As long as I'm not jinxing free throws, I think I'm all right.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
I'll stay out of that lane. You know?
The Hawaii Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and you can catch us on demand wherever you get most podcasts. Well, let's get this party started right away. We have the pleasure this morning, and I'm so stoked that he made the time to join us, but starting things off on this second to the last day of the year is none other than University of Hawaii Athletics Director Matt Elliott. Woo! Matt,
Good morning.
Good morning, and
Thank you for
welcome
having
to
me.
the show. Thank you for taking the time. I really, it was almost like a belated Christmas gift when you said that. I texted you yesterday, and you said you could actually join us in studio, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. So thank you so much for being able to make the time for us this morning. Like I said, second to the last day of 2025.
That's kind of wild to think we're this close to the end, but what a year. Awesome 2025. What a year.
What a year. And we're going to look back on some of the things now weren't with us the entire 2025, right? Just kind of joined on in here in the summertime. But when you're looking back, I guess this first half of this sports season, what has been one of the answer is quite obvious. What has been some of the highlights for you through this first part of your tenure here at the University of Hawai'i-Manoa?
Yeah, the first highlight is just overall the people. Still just continue to be so incredibly blown away by both the passion for our programs, but also just the kindness. Every single person I talk to is just filled with joy and like, oh, we want this program to be so successful. We believe so much. We have so much history with this place. And that just blows me away. But then when I think about our football season, if you bookend how we started the season with the last second kick to beat Stanford, and then the bowl game with the last second throw to beat Cal, to beat two ACC opponents, both at home in front of our incredible fans, I'll never forget either of those moments.
I know, right? Lucky him. He gets to start off. Like when Paul started here in Hawaii, he went through he had to start from the bottom with Timmy Chang and everybody else. And Matt Elliott, maybe you're the good luck charm. There you go. Matt Elliott comes in here and he just has one of the best seasons that Hawaii has seen in a while.
More than willing to sign that deal. I'm fine to sit through the pain if that means Matt Elliott and all our beautiful people get to enjoy a really fun time now. But yeah, a really fun year. I'm sure it was fun for you coming from UCLA and then, of course, the two schools that you beat, a couple of Cal schools, So that never hurts.
That must have been pretty enjoyable as well. But before we get into a lot of the questions and reviewing this past year, things that we've talked about on the show that I said I was going to ask you, I don't want to forget about any of those. But before we get into the hard stuff, we're going to hit you with the hard stuff, Matt. But I still want to keep it light here. How has your family and everyone settled in here? I know your wife's from here, and you guys have come back here often. You guys met here. But just in general, I guess adapting to the life of being the other half of the athletics director.
Yeah, actually, as I was thinking about it yesterday and now seeing again today is officially 6 months. So exactly 6 months since I started the job. Of course, it's been a major transition, but I actually think Allie, one of the things Allie said to me the other day was like, yeah, it's actually way better than I thought it was going to be. And I think we just didn't know. It was such a uncertain time when we thought, okay, we're going to make this transition, have this incredible opportunity, and you just don't know how are the seasons going to go, how are we going to be received, how would the early decisions be that we make sort of resonate with the community. And overall, I think, as you both said, we've been incredibly fortunate to be part of a program that was certainly, especially in football, on the ascendancy and moving in a place that it was creating such pride and joy for the community. But again, I think it comes back to the community and the relationships that we've been able to build in these first few months. And at the same time, we're just so happy to be here. And Allie is so happy to be home, and it's just wonderful for our family. So all's going great. Kai's loving school. That part's been really fun as well. And just trying to see how he's making the adjustments. It's been really cool.
We love that. And I love to see him like running around on the football field sometimes and everything like that, kind of enjoying the life here in Hawaii. All right. Speaking of the incredible football season, and again, I want to preface this for everyone listening and going to watch this back later, that we know there are only so much you could and public information you can share with all of us. But like I said, I'm thankful for you to not shy away from any questions that we're going to throw your way as I know a lot of people are curious about just this past season and looking to the future in this crazy world of college athletics right now. But probably the question on everybody's mind after that very successful football season, and we saw UH baseball coach Rich Hill, his contract get renewed. So for what you can share with us, where does that stand right now for UH football head coach Timmy Chang?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I just have always set, or since I've started, I've just set this expectation and standard. I'm not going to speak about individual coaches' personnel matters. I think that is something that you do once things are settled. Mm-hmm. And in terms of with Timmy, I would say that's no different. I want to respect the individual and their privacy as we go through those processes. That said, I will also say that we have an outstanding head coach. What Coach Chang and his staff have done over these last 4 years has been truly remarkable with the resources they've had at their disposal and what they came into, the situation where it was clearly a space where there was something that had to be rebuilt. If you saw the video that our staff put out a few weeks ago, probably now, and it was at the end of it started with the video at the end of his first season where he was talking to the team and talking to the seniors. And then I think actually it was right after senior night, right, that the video came out. And then you juxtapose that with the end of this season with those same seniors who had been sitting there on the field 4 years ago, and watch them walk across the field with their families and covered in lei, and to see that growth and to see that transition, it was spectacular. I mean, that video like touched me in a way that I don't think anything else has in a long time related to sports. And that to me is just a pure testament to what this staff has built and the relationships that they've created, not just with our student athletes, but with the whole university and with this community. So for him to have done what he's done with this staff, to be the West Region AFCA Coach of the Year, which again, voted on by your peers, recognized for what you had to overcome. Those are all the signals to me that this program is absolutely going in the right direction, and we absolutely have the right coach.
I think everyone listening is in agreement with that. That's why we've been getting the text messages. Before that was about Rich Hill, and we kind of chuckled that you were getting a lot of that question too, and now it'll be Timmy Chang, and we got it, Life of Athletic Director.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but as I've tried to say a lot of times, got a lot of great people here on both sides who want to make sure that great people stay here as well. So for fans worried about that, just wait. It's okay.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue.
There are processes, right? I mean,
exactly.
there's no like, oh, we're trying to hide anything. It's just, hey, you got to go through the steps. Yep.
All right. Another big, significant thing that was done last month, actually. We're only still in December, Kool-Aid, not in January.
So close.
Yeah, in November was the informational briefing, right? Like I said, changing college landscape. Essentially, they tried to put in rules, and it feels like there's even less rules at this point. But Hawaii trying to do what they can to stay ahead and ask for help from the legislature when yourself, Coach Timmy Chang, and Coach Beeman went in front of the House and Senate committees on higher education that's requesting the $5 million in NIL to help supplement everything that's going on. So since we didn't get to talk to you immediately after that, though, what were your general takeaways from that discussion with the legislature?
Yeah. So number one, really grateful that they invited us in. This is an educational briefing where we had the chance to talk about NIL publicly and really try to share what is the story behind it, what is the rationale. College sports clearly have changed, and NIL is now a part of it. We've been saying since the beginning of this that we have to embrace that, and it's not that it's changed the academic emphasis of college sports. We can talk about the transfer portal if you want later, because that I think actually is disruptive. I don't think NIL is disruptive from the academic and student athlete experience standpoint. It just means that we are sharing what is brought into the department in a way where student athletes are able to set themselves up for their lives in a little bit different way, especially for all that they do to contribute to our university, to our economy, to our state. So what we wanted to do in that informational briefing was lay out those realities. And through our assessment of what our coaches are telling us is happening in the current marketplace and what we're seeing in the Mountain West and other comparable conferences, to explain that we believe Simply, we believe that if we have $5 million or approximately $5 million to start our NIL fund each year, then we can be competitive and pursue one of our pillars of our vision for excellence, which is to be the premier program in the Mountain West. We believe we can do that. At a lot, I'm just being frank here, but at a lot of other colleges and universities, the idea is we're just going to go spend it. And then at the end of the year, we'll look at what our budget is, and maybe we were over, and the school or the state will absorb that deficit. And that's the way it goes there. What we've tried to do here is be very transparent up front and say, this is what we think it's going to take. If we have that commitment and support at the beginning of the year, as we go into this 26-27 year, right, the second year of NIL, then we'll be able to budget appropriately. Our coaches will know how to spend that money on NIL and build their rosters. But it's not just the legislature. I think that's the other critical piece here is we are asking the state and saying, this is how we think we can make this an extremely successful program in Hawaii. But we are also out there trying to generate revenue and raise money. And we've been doing that this year. We are funding NIL this year exclusively through philanthropy and revenue generation. And we're going to keep doing that. But I just wanted to be very clear and transparent what we think it's going to take for us to be successful. And when we have the season we just had here in football and we're 9-4 and we win a bowl game, we beat 2 Power 4 schools, you can see the impact that has on the state, that has on our community, the source of pride, the joy, everything that brings, and the platform that it creates for the University of Hawaii overall. We want to continue to do that. We want to be at the front of the line. We want to be that best program, create these great experiences. And that's why I thought it was such a wonderful opportunity for us to be in front of the legislature and tell that story. And so appreciative of Coach Chang and Coach Beeman to be there with us and explain what's happening day to day.
Can you imagine in an ideal world, this is like you mentioned, the $5 million is a starting point, and then say the football team continues its upward trajectory and the brand of University of Hawaii Athletics just explodes. You've got a lot of interest. You have people buying merchandise, yada, yada, yada. Like eventually that $5 million would, you wouldn't need it. Is that how I understand it? Where you wouldn't need to have that automatic $5 million because it would be almost like the university would be self-sustaining in terms of the revenue that it's generating. Like I said, in an ideal world.
Right, exactly. That's the dream scenario, that we continue to generate more and more revenue through our processes, and that brings it back to the school, that we can spend that on NAL. At the same time, this is absolutely an investment. I don't think that should be lost, that if we are investing in these programs, which we, again, collectively believe are positive for our state and positive for our university and our profile, they make the like a robust, successful athletics department is a good thing for a university, especially a world-class university like the University of Hawaii. And it's great for our state. The other thing we're going to invest in this early part of 2026 is an economic impact report. And I know, I'm not going to write the report, but I know the outcome is going to be that college athletics in this state gives a lot back from an economic standpoint as well. So there's that piece of it. There's the investment in the profile of the university. And then we're investing in student athletes and allowing them to have these experiences, which then they can go out and be our future leaders, go out and be the people who would contribute to our economy, stay here and work in Hawaii. And all of that to me is worthwhile.
Love that. You answered one of my questions, because that was something I was thinking about after everything, where have we ever actually quantified what you get out of having a successful athletics department? So good to hear that we're going to do that economic impact statement. But speaking of revenue that's supposed to come in, and I guess this is a two-part question. Again, I know there's only so much you can talk about, as we are joined by UH-Manoa Athletics Director Matt Elliott. Going back to the whole Mountain West Pac-12 thing, something Paul and I are just like always shrugging our shoulders and questioning how it's even possible that hasn't been settled yet with the exit fees and poaching fees, because in our very basic understanding of contracts,
I didn't go to law school.
Yeah, you figured
I'm a sports media guy.
You sign on the dotted line. There's proof that they were working with the Pac-12, the defectors or whatever schools that are leaving. So we're just curious, like the best way you can explain to people like ourselves, like why is it that it's not so cut and dry? And when you have other schools like UCLA that has to pay to Cal, for example, for leaving, like why is it that this has been dragged on for so long? Yeah,
I think the starting point is, as a member of the Mountain West and a supporter of the Mountain West, we absolutely believe that we have a great legal argument in this space. And when I say we, I mean the conference, yes. Obviously not our individual university. Some of it does seem very simple. There's a contract, people sign it. That's not for me to get into. But I think at the end of the day, when you have lawyers on two sides, their job is to try to get the best possible outcome for each of their individual clients. And that is what continues to happen. And then our legal system. We've all lived with it regardless of whether you're a lawyer or not. You've lived with it long enough to know that this is a very deliberate process that goes step by step by step. And at each step of that legal process, there's different amount of leverage that each side has, which leads to, okay, what is happening in potential negotiations to try to get to a settlement. At the end of the day, the hope is both parties can walk away. Nobody's going to love 100% of what happens, right? That's the typical outcome. But you try to get to a point that both parties say, okay, that's fine. It's fair overall, and we can move on. Obviously, we would love for that to happen sooner rather than later, so we have some certainty. But at the same point, you're not going to walk away until at least you feel like your side has gotten what is right and what's due. And if not, if nobody can agree, then at the end of the day, you will have a trial, and that's always possible. It's rare, but it's always possible.
Unfortunately. But there were talks because the exit fees are massive with the poaching fees, and then there's still the media rights discussions with the Mountain West and the University of Hawaii. So maybe a guesstimate number, not asking you to throw out a number at all, but maybe like when it's all said and done in your mind, what you're kind of envisioning, will that be kind of like a substantial fund into the University of Hawaii once everything's settled?
Yeah, so I think starting with the media rights deal, there's a number of components of that. You're seeing this more and more now for the conferences, especially, and kind of any conference except maybe the Power 2, is that the media rights deals are going to have multiple components. So that's negotiations that are going on with different potential media partners, and I do believe that we're getting close to the end of that process. We also have our own process now where UH Athletics is going to look for what are the local media rights deal that as our contract ends with Spectrum here at the end of this year, what does our future look like? And we need those two things to be balanced and go hand in hand so that we're getting our content out to as many people as humanly possible. That was obviously a theme since I started here. Is we want exposure, we want access, we want people to be able to see our games. And you and I were even talking this morning about our Olympic sports. How do we get more and more of those games broadcast and whether it's audio or video, getting them transmitted to our fan base. So that's kind of our responsibility to supplement whatever happens with those Mountain West deals with our local sports rights deals. And I'm very excited to be able to go to market and have those conversations and again, emphasize not just the revenue that we'll be able to bring in, but emphasize exposure. So I think the media rights deal with the Mountain West is nearing a close. Again, there's just always negotiations that got to get finalized. Then we'll have our piece of the local media rights. And then you can't budget for a settlement, a legal settlement or litigation, because that, potentially then you get over your skis and you're at risk there. But if you know in the back of your mind that that's coming, that can be part of your future planning. And I think at this point, that's all we can do. Once it happens, great. Then obviously, yeah, exactly. Then we'll say, okay, how can we best implement these resources?
So is it safe for fans to maybe anticipate that they won't have to ever pay for a UH football broadcast, or is that too early to say? Because I know, and what has been the response to that? I mean, clearly the season was great, but maybe early on when you didn't really know how the season was going to go, what was the response to football being accessible for everybody here in the state for the first time since a lot of us can remember? And then is that something that hopefully fans can look forward to in the future?
Yeah, I think the pay-per-view model, I understand it. I know why that was used in the past, and I think it served a purpose. But I also had the feeling that it was creating a disconnect between our programs and our community, and the bridges that we need to rebuild by not having a stadium, right? That's another thing that takes away part of the connection, and not having that permanent stadium. We lost some of that experience, and we understood that. So there were places where we felt like if we can just start to rebuild those bridges and knit people back together. I just love the idea of children running in and out of the living room while the game's on, at that young age. Because I remember doing that myself, right? When I was a kid and my dad would be watching something or my mom would be like, oh, I don't even know what's going on, but it's like there. It's kind of in the background. It becomes part of your identity. We wanted more and more of that to happen. So I think the pay-per-view model was a financial necessity, but it created obstacles and barriers that we don't think are good for us going forward. So I am certain we will not have a pay-per-view model for home football games, whether they're going to be a combination of different media partners through the Mountain West. That's something that I think will happen, and you're going to have to find the games in slightly different places. But once we know how that happens, we'll be able to explain it all and put those, be able to direct people. This is where our games are going to be over the course of a season across all our sports.
Woohoo! I love that. Good to know. As we're joined by UH-Manoa Athletics Director Matt Elliott. Less than 10 minutes for you. I know you got to go off to a meeting, but again, appreciate your time. One of the questions that came up, I don't know, a few weeks ago was that someone brought it to our attention with the student fees. The student fees being just $100, which is kind of below the average of your Division I or FBS schools. Is that something, and again, once I know there's only so much you can share with us, but is that possibly being looked at? Or what is the general process that goes into looking at raising the student fees? Because I know there's multiple parties involved. It doesn't take just you and President Hensel to be like, yes.
Matt can't just snap his fingers and make
I
it
know,
all happen?
Unfortunately not. But
I've been lied to. Oh my goodness. People have told me he has way more power than he does. What the heck?
No, I just show up. I have no control over anything. That's the truth. So there is a process, and what I've learned over the first few months here is that it's essentially you're kind of submitting a proposal, if you will, and say this is where we think a student fee could be used to augment internal programming or internal experiences for the student. I mean, ultimately that's what it is, right? Students right now who pay the student fee also have access to all of our games. Right? You get a free ticket for football, basketball, baseball, whatever the case may be, volleyball. So that's what the fee goes in to help supporting. You're right. The data does show that our student fee is significantly lower than most schools. So I think we are absolutely looking at that, and there's a process for it. But have we made a change yet? No. And it will be a very deliberative process where you engage with the students on campus as well. But I think it's our job in athletics to show that value. Say, if the student fee is increased, why are we doing it, and what is the value back to the students? But I do think there's an opportunity there. Yep.
Anyway, we only have about 5 minutes left with you. I know you're really good at being on time for your meeting, so that's why I don't want to be the reason why we're keeping him in.
Oh, this is great. No, we get time. Yeah. No worries. And the traffic was really light today, so I probably get to my next meeting a little faster too.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll knock on wood for all of us.
Watch. He's good. Now he's just jinx the
It
traffic.
wasn't Michael that said it, so we're probably pretty good.
As long as I'm not jinxing free throws, I think I'm all right.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
I'll stay out of that lane.
But looking ahead now to the future, as you mentioned, one thing you guys are looking at are the student fees to help boost athletics. But what maybe some things that you can share with us? What are some of the goals in 2026? Clearly, we know athletically, goals are always to win championships or do very well and be very competitive. But maybe some of the financial goals and things that you maybe have planned. Are there things that are coming that are new that fans can expect? And again, I know there's only so much you can share with us, but just divulge as much as you can for the beautiful people out there that are listening.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what there's so many things. I'm just trying to think about the sequence in which to lay them out. But I guess so. You will see in the next week or two. I'm hopeful. We're trying to finish the process, but you will see that we're going to go out to the public and say, this is our request for proposal for the local media rights deals. So we'll put that out and say this is what we want to accomplish with that relationship, which could cover, because the Mountain West deal is going to be the next 6 years. So we could do a local media rights deal for up to the next 6 years. So that'll be public in terms of what our, the RFP process, if you will, our request for a proposal. So that's pretty cool. Second, another big thing that we're going to start the process is our multimedia rights partner. So we've been in a contractual relationship with Learfield for many years now and have a great relationship with them. But that process will start as well in January, because that contract ends in June 2027, if I'm getting my numbers right exactly. So that means you got to start now. And there will be windows of exclusive negotiating processes. There's windows of if you want to go to market, et cetera. But the point is, you now get to reassess what your assets are worth. And that's really important. That is one of the kind of main pillars of revenue generation for any athletics department, is that multimedia rights. And who, for lack of a better term, it's just who are the sponsors, who are the folks that are bringing revenue into the university, because they want to collaborate with you and say there's value in the UH brand, there's value in the student athletes, and bring our corporate entity into that, put them all together. And that is a great way for the company to grow, but it's also a great way for us to get support for our student athletes. So that's a really important process that we will go through and figure out what's the right best future relationship for us there. So that's a really good one. Well, another one that we're thinking about a lot, and this just takes a lot of creativity given the structures we're in, is how do we create more premium spaces in the arenas and fields and different venues that we have? Because we know that they are very successful. You look at, for example, on top of the Ching Complex, you've got the suites, right, on the Mackay side of the Diamond Head side of the stadium. There's like a waiting list of more than double the number of people who have those suites and the entities that have those suites. Courtside seats around basketball games and volleyball games are extraordinarily popular, and those sell at a very high rate. So what do we do to make the experience at the games more robust, create more of these opportunities for both corporate sponsors and fans to say, okay, I want to do something special, either one game or bring a client or do it for the whole season. We want to create more of that variety if we can, and if we can invest in those spaces, then that's another opportunity to generate revenue. So in no way is that meant to say, oh, we're trying to price people out of our games, because I don't think that's going to happen at all. But just creating those opportunities is a good way to try to create more revenue. So I don't know, just thinking out loud, at least those are three things front of mind as we prepare for the big transition to the Mountain West. As I've been saying since my first day on the job, that is one of the most important things for us to do, is to be ready for our new level of competition in that conference across most of our sports.
God, I love it. Oh, I love it. But I totally get it, because it, like you said, it's not about pricing out necessarily the common fan, but it is providing an extra level, and it is providing those little advantages that you can get here and there that'll end up helping your program as you move forward, or let me rephrase, multiple programs move forward into the Mountain West, where there are more dollars being spent. So, no, I mean, it sounds like it's a proactive battle, and you always have to be proactive in today's day and age. So I'm glad to hear it.
All right, last one for you, Matt. Just want to essentially give you the floor. I'm glad that you were able to share with us things that we can look forward to in the coming next couple of years. But want to give you the floor and give your message to the listeners and viewers out there on this, like I said, second to the last day of 2025. But what's the message you want to share with the fans right now, and looking ahead to what we can anticipate to be a bright future for the University of Hawaii?
The first message is just thank you so much for supporting our programs and for supporting our student athletes. Second is we'd love to see you as much as possible. We got starts to really exciting basketball seasons, and those are going to start up again here. We got Wahine playing in 2 nights, right? Today's Tuesday. Yep. So they're back. Coach Beeman and her crew are back on Thursday night. Men's volleyball opens on Friday, and we're just rolling right back into these winter sports. So if you love sports, if you like that joy, if you love being around the community and coming out to support our student athletes, we would be so thrilled to have you in our arenas and in our venues. And soon enough, we'll be going with softball and tennis and beach volleyball and women's water polo. We have so many cool things happening, and it's a great place to bring your family. It's a great place to let the kids run around and see these wonderful student athletes that really inspire us all. So. Just thank you all so much for an incredible second half of 2025. Thank you to this community for creating a foundation of just spectacular college sports in the state and allowing us to represent the university and the state together, and can't wait for 26.
Woo! Can't wait for 26. And thank you, sir, for taking the time to join us on, like I said, to end off this new year. We're so excited that you could make out some time for us, but we appreciate you again for taking the time in your, I can imagine, busy schedule.
Oh, yeah. No, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you, and I'd love to come back whenever you're ready. So I'll see you soon.
All right, next week. All right, let's pencil him in already.
I'll see you next year.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I got to toss that
first week of next year.
I'll see you next year.
All right, well, I'm Matt Elliott, UH-Manoa Athletics Director. We got to take a break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and you can catch us on demand wherever you get most podcasts. You'll be able to also watch this show and this interview with UH-Manoa Athletics Director Matt Elliott on our YouTube channel. So we'll have that up for you guys. And if you're just tuning in, well, you missed it. UH Athletics Director Matt Elliott was just with us to start off this show for the last 30 minutes. And we appreciate him once again for taking the time to join us and allow me to hit him with somewhat of the hard-hitting questions, the questions that are on everyone's mind, including mine. So I didn't want to. I mean, I've been like talking and telling the beautiful people, like, I got to ask Matt this the next time I see him. I got to ask.
Well,
so I had to ask him.
I was going to say, got a chance.
And I appreciate him for not shying away from anything, because I did. I just, full disclosure, I asked him before the show, is there anything that I can't ask you? And he's like, nope. Like, go ahead, like whatever you want. I'm like, I appreciate that when there is no, and I know, like I said, I prefaced it for the audience, there's only so much that he can share. I already knew that, but I like when it's just like, just go at it, throw it at me. Like it was great to have that, just be able to ask anything for the last 30 minutes.
But I kind of feel like he does a nice job of the, how do I say this? Answering but not answering. Like he'll, for example, the Timmy question where he's like, I've set a precedent and I'm not going to speak on personnel negotiations, yada, yada, yada. That didn't stop him from still kind of giving you a hint of where he at least thinks of Timmy and this staff after this year, right? And obviously you can't give everything away, and obviously you're not going to trash a coach on the air and anything like that. But, it's the art of it all. I appreciated that where, he understands he can't just outwardly be like, oh, yeah, we're giving him a 4-year extension.
Or we're working on it for sure, right? Like, you can't really.
Yeah. But he also wasn't like, oh, sorry, what is the legal term? It's like client-attorney privilege type thing. It's like AD coach privilege. He didn't pull that. He's like, we're going to keep stuff private, but also I still can share a little bit. So if you're a fan of puzzles, sometimes you can piece it together, and I appreciate that. I'll say that.
Yeah, I also wanted to talk about, and you were kind of touching on it right there, and I didn't want to, again, take up too much of the time, but this is where we can kind of do the follow-up to that chat with Matt Elliott, where he talked about like trying to get more premium opportunities, but not pricing anybody out. And I think that's something I also was curious about, because I don't want to feel like the people of Hawaii get priced out. Like, I'd rather them work on premium opportunities so that the people that do have the financial means can take advantage of it. And you're not always going back to like, hey, let's raise the price on like the people that are like, this is kind of like, oh, we get to go to one game this season and we're bringing the family,
rich people
right?
Spend their money and let the people who work their tails off as well to just make it to 1 or 2 games. Let them still go to their 1 or 2 games per year. It's okay.
Yes.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. That was one of the things that, like, I mean, you saw my face as soon as he was saying it. I'm all smitten over here because I'm like, I love it. Because I think also, maybe this is just me. I don't think the luxury like things are. And this is obviously, I'm from the continent, so things are a little comparatively, I compare it to like professional stuff, but like, it's not otherworldly price there, where it's like, it is attainable for the common family who, maybe doesn't have the means to do it. They can still have a special birthday party here and there if it lines up. And it's like, then when you have these luxury items, it's even cool for them as well. Like, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I think it's important. And like you said, it's better than just being like, well, what if we make the $10 ticket $25 and then, the $50 ticket $100?
Oh.
And it's like, oh, well, now,
and I get
now
it.
the
Like,
audience is even smaller.
Naturally, we know prices go up for everything,
it's just the way the world works.
It's Hawaii, but it was good to hear that there are other avenues to try to raise prices, again, to people who can have the means to be able to splurge a little bit more than the fans. And I'm glad that he also mentioned speaking of, the fans not having to spend a lot of their excess money, about the goal is to keep, at least from the local media standpoint, and he made sure to preface it where if the Mountain West media rights deals go to other streaming platforms, that's a Mountain West thing. But if it's a local broadcasted game for their local media partners, that the intent is to keep the football games off of pay-per-view, but saying that he understands why it was done, but we're moving in a new direction. And I like how he also mentioned the fact that it's part of it is because of no stadium, right? You want to feel like your fans are engaged when you don't have the Aloha Stadium. So I'm like, I appreciated that. Where I feel like we do a good job on like we're the ones for the common folk. Like we want like the more fans, the better, right? Like try not to price people out of stuff. So I loved getting that reassurance. The premium seating, all of those extra avenues to explore, but also still thinking of the fans across the state that, hey, let's make sure that we are able to allow them to still get these football games, not have to worry about pay-per-view ever again in the future.
I appreciated the visual that he provided. He talks about the kids running in and out of the living room, and the TV just happens to have UH Sports on. And, like, to me, that hits home because that's how I grew up, right? I mean, every single time I step into my living room at home, there is some sort of sporting event on, and most of the time it's a local sporting event, whether it was Syracuse basketball, whether it's some sort of New York professional team. Like, it's somebody that I would care about, and a lot of that is because of the access that I had to it. And like he said, and similarly here, it's all about access. Something else, you talk about value, we're talking about luxury experiences and all of these things. The student athletic fee question that you posed, I appreciated that part of it as well, where he kind of hinted that it seems that they're looking into that, which good, they should. I mean, not to be like, oh, you student spend more money, but also like, it is a little bit low comparatively to whatever. I appreciated the fact that he's not just like, yeah, we're gonna raise it. The fact that, I mean, the quote he had was, we have to show the value of it if we're going to raise it. What do you get from this? And I appreciate that, because that seemed like a overwhelming theme throughout our conversation with him, was like, yeah, we're trying to raise money. Yes, we're trying to continue to like compete in the world of college athletics where any amount of money is not enough money, but also it's not at the expense of fan experience. It's not at the expense of student experience. It's still, hey, we want to provide the best possible things to our fans, to our students, to the people of Hawaii, but also we have to do it in a way that's creative and make it worth, so that we can compete and these people don't feel like they're being taken advantage of by a program that isn't doing enough so that they can compete. So I thought that was very interesting. I appreciated that.
Yeah, and he mentioned and or at least confirmed what I prefaced in that question, where on average Hawaii is like on the lower end of what the student athletic fee is, right? So that kind of already stands out, where, like I said, prices go up across the country or across the world all the time, and if you're the ones not raising your fee, like what is the case? So he did acknowledge that, oh yeah, like the fees, that the student athletic fees at the University of Hawaii are on the lower end of the D1 or FBS level institutions across the country. So that is something that they can potentially look at, and yeah, emphasizing what he kept saying about of the value, because he mentioned that with the media rights and also the multimedia rights, or the sponsorships that you guys see inside the arena or on the sidelines of football games, on the scoreboard. So Learfield is the separate third party that kind of handles all of those corporate sponsorships. It's not in-house by the University of Hawaii. It's done through Learfield, and that's interesting where he brought that up as well. Something they're going to look into for the next couple of years is if they're going to renegotiate that or potentially put that out for proposal. There is that exclusive moment of negotiations that they must do with Learfield, similar to how it was with Spectrum before, until you open it up to other people. But I thought that was insightful that he was sharing, because that's another form of the revenue generation, right? And he really kept emphasizing the value of Hawaii, and it takes me back to Ku'ule's crash out of late 2024, because that's something I felt like I kept yelling for. I'm like, we're so valuable. Like, I'm so tired of everyone just saying typical Hawaii. I'm like, no, Hawaii is awesome. We need to be valuable and know our own value. And I just felt like I was yelling at the sky.
Screaming into the void.
So it's just like, it's nice to hear someone that is a bit more put together when he talks about it than I am. But no, it's so reassuring and refreshing to continue to hear Matt Elliott say that like proving the value and showing the value of the University of Hawaii, and essentially how awesome and valuable the brand is, especially, and we're not even at the point where, all the sports are winning or at least competing in the championship games, we are just scratching the surface. That's why when I asked about, like the NIL and the $5 million funding from the Ledge, in a perfect world, if football keeps winning, that's going to generate revenue in itself. And the asks from the state taxpayers can hopefully dissipate and eventually go away when you get to a level where you don't need to ask. Like the $5 million is just the starting point. So it was just nice that he kept talking about the value of Hawaii and how much it's worth in the long run and the vision that he has. And I'm like, good. I was not yelling into the void. There's someone else.
Somebody was listening. And by that, it was a higher power to send the thought back into Matt Elliott and say, come to Hawaii.
We're worth a lot, dang it.
No, it was a real nice conversation, just start to finish. And that's a big reason why I do appreciate Matt Elliott, is that it does seem that he has a very similar view to a lot of fans and us here in this studio when it comes to the University of Hawaii, where there is a lot of value here that is yet to be extracted. And once again, this is not to say, we need to take all the money from the people of Hawaii. But, I mean, he even talked about it. Having a good athletic program a lot of times can go a long way for your local economy. And that's for schools not like UH, where, I mean, we say it all the time. It's the professionals team. They're the professional teams. We talked about it. We'll hear as this week goes on, men's volleyball kicking off. Like, that's another thing where, I mean, it's different than anywhere else in the world. There are so many different avenues for them to explore. We have somebody who is at the helm, who is willing to explore all those avenues, and also seems willing to listen to other people with ideas, and that is always pretty good from that seat as well, because that was something I was worried about as it opened up, because I don't know, I've been lucky enough, I'll say this, I guess, I've been lucky enough to meet a good amount of athletic directors in my life, even like not here in Hawaii, like back on the continent. Some of them are very down to earth, some of them are very awesome, like Matt Elliott. A lot of them think they are holier than thou. A lot of them are smarter than you, and they will tell you it. They will make sure you know it. So I do appreciate somebody who seems far more about the collaborative effort, but still is pretty darn smart. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that he's stupid. It's just that he's so smart that he's smart enough to ask for help from other people, as well as being pretty darn good at it. His job himself.
I also appreciate it. Last thing before we take our break, something that I really wasn't expecting, but I'm so happy that is going to be done in 2026, because as much as I personally love to use the word vibes, and vibes are high, vibes are a real thing.
Yeah, vibes are great.
It's like one of my favorite words to describe things. Sometimes not sometimes, all the time when you're going to go and ask for money, you actually need to have hard facts and data to be able to present as to why you are asking for a certain amount of money. And I can't remember if I brought this up on air, but I know I brought it up in the studio. It might have been off air, where when I really thought about it following that informational briefing that Matt Elliott, Coach Timmy, and Coach Beeman had with the Ledge, and credit to Representative Garrett for recognizing that when Hawaii does well, you can feel it in the air. You can see the smiles on everyone's faces. It's so great. And you can at least see, the ticketed sales, like what we saw in the Hawaii Bowl. It was a sold-out crowd, the biggest crowd ever in Chiang, yada, yada, yada.
It's awesome.
But after that, you're like, well, but how do you really quantify it? Like, you can't just go off and ask for money and say, the vibes are good, But Matt Elliott, you could, but
Probably
you only get so far.
Well.
You can't go to the bank. You can't go to the bank and say, give me this business loan, and they'll be like, what's your business plan? Oh, but I can be successful. I'm just telling you that when I'm successful, this is what's going to happen. Like, the bank's going to ask for your full business plan and your financials, yada, yada, yada. So, Matt Elliott mentioned that they're going to do an actual economic impact study to really quantify what it means when Hawaii is successful, and what the benefits of, say, if they were infused with the $5 million or all the substantial revenue to the University of Hawaii, what that means in terms of the back end revenue generation. So I'm like, okay, good. Like that, at least they're working on that where, like I said, there's only so far that vibes go when you're just like, yeah, no, everyone's happier. And you can throw it out there that like, yeah, of course we see more people wearing more UH gear. So that in turn means more people are buying stuff. But you have no actual
But there are
number.
real numbers out there,
Yeah.
and it's better to have the actual numbers because then it's a lot easier to go and make your case in front of, say, the ledge or, the state
people.
of Hawaii, where a lot of people were watching that or have watched those clips since then. So, yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, guy was put together. It's nice to hear that a lot of the ideas that we have had here in the studio aren't just us talking into a void. They've had those ideas elsewhere, and more importantly, inside the athletic department.
I love how he almost gave away our secret that we're working on. I do have so he might not actually be on the show next week, but we're going to try to set up a meeting with him next week on something that, potentially could get more of Hawaii's product to you guys that has not been done in the last few years that I think if we can make it work, it'll be very, very exciting for the community. And I appreciate Matt Elliott for, again, being open to just wanting to get the product into the hands of the fans. Like the more and more, like the more eyeballs or the more ears or what have you, the better. So once again, we appreciate Matt Elliott for joining us in studio this morning. You can go ahead and listen to it on demand a little later, and then we'll also have the video portion on our YouTube channel probably later on this afternoon as well. I did see one question, I'm so sorry, from someone that texted in about the men's basketball team. I didn't ask for questions because I already had my list and I felt like we would have been short of time, but he did say anytime, so we can have him on more often. We can have a more open text time with Matt Elliott, but I wanted to make sure we hit him with the hard stuff to end the year, and we appreciate him so much. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back to close out hour number 1 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.